Governor Whitmer made the rounds in Washington, D.C. today, bringing a Michigan perspective to national policy and raising questions about her political future.
News 8's Duncan McLean followed her Build America Build speech and visits to the Capitol and Pennsylvania Avenue and joins us right now with more. Duncan.
Amber, Susan, Governor Whitmer's visit today featured all the trappings of a pre-presidential campaign tour, but she was adamant her Build America Build speech and the agenda talks were not an indication of a greater campaign for president, rather a blueprint of what has worked to strengthen Michigan's economy and a reminder to the White House that these freewheeling and ever-changing policies have minute-by-minute effects on people around the country.
This is about an honest assessment of our challenges, but also an optimistic view of what's possible.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer proposing what is possible if the country and its leaders unite behind an agenda to strengthen domestic manufacturing in a speech, sit-down, and series of private meetings in Washington, D.C. today. She focused specifically in her speech on shipbuilding, aviation, and chip manufacturing, while offering careful consolations to the president's trade agenda.
And I can tell you, here's where President Trump and I do agree. We do need to make more stuff in America. More cars and chips, more steel and ships. We do need fair trade. No state has lived through the consequences of offshoring and outsourcing more than Michigan.
But the process of bringing those jobs back is where Whitmer said her and the president differ.
You can't just pull out the tariff hammer to swing at every problem without a clear, defined end goal. We cannot underestimate or underappreciate the time and capital it's going to take to actually bring jobs and supply chains back home. So there's not a shortcut here. Strategic reindustrialization must be a bipartisan project that spans multiple presidential administrations.
That clear and defined strategy was Whitmer's most emphasized issue with current policy, arguing that the uncertainty is getting in the way of its own goals.
If there is a strategy that can be communicated, markets will settle down and businesses can deploy those resources and make those long-term commitments. But so long as it is a roller coaster, no one's going to do anything because they're going to wait to see what happens, and we're all going to pay the price for that.
Now, after the speech, the sit-down, and her meeting with the president, Governor Whitmer and the Speaker of the Michigan House of Representatives, Matt Hall, stuck around in the Oval Office for some executive order and ambassador position signings, both receiving some praise from President Trump. He said the governor is doing an excellent job and called her a good person, and thanked Hall for his help in delivering the president's election win in Michigan in November. The president then updated efforts to deal with Asian carp in the Great Lakes, and the pair got a minute to address that.
This invasive species that's going to destroy our Great Lakes. You know how important recreational fishing and so much of that is to our state. Because of your work, we're hopeful that we'll get a solution there and we'll get that barrier built.
It's why we're working so hard to make sure that, we work with the Army Corps and erect a barrier so that the Asian carp can't get into Lake Michigan. It'll devastate the ecosystem, the economy, tourism, and it's 20% of the world's fresh waters in the Great Lakes, Mr. President, which is why it's so important that as a nation we protect the pristine waters.
Now, the president also mentioned an air base off the shores of Anchor Bay in Lake St. Clair, which is serving its 108th consecutive year of military air operations. The governor has been advocating for a new fighter jet assignment there as their beloved squad of A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, or Warthogs, nears retirement, apparently talking with the president about that today. We'll keep you posted as more details emerge from their chats on WoodTV.com. Amber?